spaghetti. Nice little white wine. There you go, my little South African friend. We're back on South African. Even though tonight we are going Italian again. So it ought to be Italian wine. But anyway, it doesn't really matter because it's all going in the cooking. So, tonight, I'm going to cook a simple little dish. We are going to cook Scaloppini, and in this case, it's chicken scaloppini. Traditionally, it would be veal, but it can be veal, it can be beef, it can be chicken. In fact, there are even some people who use something completely different, but there you go. So we're doing chicken scaloppini. Better have another wine. And in here I've got, you only really want one clove, but you know me with my garlic, I like my garlic. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to finely chop a few cloves of garlic. And then I've got some chicken breasts which we need to prepare. Got my big sharp knife and I'm looking away, I'm going to end up cutting my fingers off. We've got some chicken breasts we need to prepare. I haven't had that much wine yet. Just in case someone says you've been drinking a wine, and we've got half a shallot. Well, actually, it's a bit of it's about a quarter of an onion, but I didn't have any shallots. And the trouble is, you can only buy them in big bags. I didn't see the point of buying a big bag for half a shallot. So we're going to cheat, and we're going to use half an onion, half onion, small half of onion, small onion half. And we've got some parsley, which will need to be chopped. And then I've got about 220 grams of small mushrooms. You should use cremini mushrooms. We couldn't get any. We've got just ordinary button mushrooms. And you want some butter, some double cream, and some white wine. A bit of salt, pepper, a bit of olive oil, and a bit of flour. So, first off, got my garlic chopped, get that in there, and then we're going to chop the onion. And now I'm copying. Bloody hell, what is going on with my speech today? And now I'm just going to finely chop up that shallot. So, scallopini. Scallopini is plural, okay? The singular is scalopa, which means a small scallop, i.e. a thin slice or thinly sliced cut of meat. And like I say, traditionally it would be veal. A lot of people won't eat veal because of obviously how veal is produced. And actually, I discovered today, which I knew they use, basically it's calves, and part of the practice is that the calves are kept basically in a box so they can't move, which means their muscles don't get, toughened. But apparently, at one time, I'm going to put you off your food now, although I doubt if any of you are eating right now. At one time they actually used unborn calves. They used to use the meat from them. Anyway, we're not using veal, we're using chicken. Okay, and Tesco surprised me. I said to the wife, get a pack with a couple of breasts in, because you know what Tesco's like. They're always the triple-breasted chicken, and we've got a pack with 4 breasts in. Who knows? So that's my onion finely chopped. Okay, I've then got these mushrooms, and what we're going to do with the mushrooms, we're just going to thinly slice these mushrooms. Whoop! I'm trying to have my finger. So I've got quite a few here. Like I say, it's about 220 grams. Okay, little tip for you by the way with mushrooms. Don't wash mushrooms because they'll soak up the water, which then means it'll all come out during the cooking. what you do is you wipe them. And actually, although I always moan about Jamie getting his hand, you know, like they all bloody do, don't they? Putting their hands in it all, getting their hands all greasy and mucky and eating, picking up raw meat and then going picking up other things and shit like that. I actually learnt that way, a little trick from Jamie. He said, don't wash the mushrooms, which I'd always done before. He said, wipe them over the cloth. So I'm going to get the rest of them chopped. Just chop up this parsley. So just to, if you get your typical bag of parsley from the supermarket, it's only a garnish, really it. About a quarter of it, take the stems off and then just finely chop up the leaves. And then we've actually prepared everything apart from the chicken. So scaloppini is an Italian dish, as we said, although the word actually comes from the French escalope. I think that's it, French escalope, which basically is a thin slice of meat. Okay, so the meat, thinly sliced, coated with you know, just a thin little bit of flour, and then sautéed in the pan, and is usually served with a sauce. And you can get a variety of sauces. You can have like a pizza style sauce, you know, tomato based. You can have a mushroom one, mushroom and wine, which is what we're having. You can get a caper and lemon sauce, okay, which actually sometimes then if you're using capers and lemons, it's known more as a piccata apparently, or piccata, I don't know. So you know, you've got a variety of sauces you serve with it, and then you might say serve it with pasta, steamed rice, potatoes, mashed potatoes. We're not. We're just going to have it as plain scallopini. So, like I said to you, the last thing we need to prepare is our chicken. So, what we do is we take our chicken breast, and this is where you need to be careful, because what we're going to do is we're going to slice it in half. Okay, so you'll need a nice sharp knife, and this is being a bastard at the moment. I'm deciding it's not going to slice very easily. So that's how we end up with our thinner slices, and then with each slice we're just going to cut it in half. Okay, and I'm going to shove it on a plate. Now I might just leave that bit like it is, given the way it did. Chicken scaloppini is quite a relatively new dish. Okay, there's no real like loads of stories, history about it. Again, about given the size of that, I'm not going to cut that bit enough. I'm not trim that bit off. But there was, if you ever watched Columbo, a detective series, this quite, I remember watching that years ago. Quite liked it. There's a episode in there, Murder Under Glass, I believe it's called, and I can't remember whether he's actually pretending he's a cook, or whether he just happens to be cooking for some reason, even though he does say he doesn't know how to cook. But he does then end up cooking a variety of meals, one of which is veal scaloppini, even though I know we're not cooking veal scaloppini. Okay, which he come here, bugger, which he sort of, as he would, serves up with plenty of a nice Margot. That's red wine. That's not a character from. I'm being very careful because it's not, and I end up taking my hand off. That's not a character from. Oh, I've forgotten what it's called now. Good Life. The posh neighbour. So that's my chicken prepared, or cut anyway. So really now we've got all the ingredients done. So I'm now just going to have a bit of a wash up and clean up, and we'll get on cooking. So I've just washed my board off and then remembered it was a bit pointless. because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these slices. I might have to do it in a couple of batches. Okay, I'm just going to lay them out on the board, because although we've cut them quite thin, we'd like them a bit thinner. Alright, so I'm just going to lay these out on here. Actually, almost might get them all on here, actually, to be honest. Nope, I don't think I am. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move them to one side, and then I'm just going to put some cling film over the top. There you go, there's the first batch, nicely covered. And now, say hello to my little friend, because we're going to beat the crap out of him. So we're just tenderising them. If you've got a tenderiser, which I ain't, don't use the like the barbed end, if you like. So what we do, give them a nice tenderising, and then I'm just going to peel that back, flip them over, and tenderise the other side. Oh, say hello to my little friend. So I've got about, so I hammered the crap out of the chicken. I've got about 50 grams of plain flour, and we're just going to season that with some pepper. I can't remember who it was. Someone did say that, really, to be honest, might be from the Godfather actually. I might be wrong there. You should use white pepper with veal. Well, we ain't doing veal, are we? So I'm just going to mix that in, and then what we do is we take each one of our. What's going on there? That bit there, I think, ended up being really flat, and spread out a lot. And we're just going to coat it all over with flour, okay, and then just shake it off, and actually I might just split that up, and we're just going to lay it out onto a baking sheet. You know, let's crank more bloody washing up, okay. So it ought to be traditionally wheat flour, which of course this is, okay, and then we are ready to start the cooking. So, you know, if you get yourself organised, doesn't need to take you more, in total about 30 minutes, but then again, that's without me whittling on. So I'm just going to get the rest of my chicken breaded, floured. So finally we're about to start cooking. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, in a pan, now I was going to use my deeper dish pan, simply because later on it'll be slopping everywhere, but then you can't really see what's going on, can you? So instead I'm going to do it in my frying pan. I should probably make a mess all over the oven. We've just got oil all over the oven, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this up on a medium to high-ish heat, and then what we're going to do is we're then going to put these slices in. Obviously I can't do them all at once, the pan's not big enough. I've got all that bloody lot to do, and some of that's double layered, and then we're going to nicely saute it on both sides. It's a lovely golden brown colour, not dark brown colour, golden brown, right? So this is actually quite a healthy dish, because I mean, I know I'm putting oil in there and we've got meat, but we're using chicken, and actually even if we were using veal, it would be healthier than you normally than using beef. Well, sometimes I say bloody normal. Less saturated fat, okay. And although we're going to be putting a bit of butter in here and a bit of cream in here, not huge amounts, so it's quite a healthy meal, just in case the wife's watching this episode. Also, of course, you're getting all that protein, which apparently on Slimming World's good. Meat's good. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to cook, like I say, in batches. We're just going to put the meat in there. We're going to brown it off. golden brown on both sides. Okay, and so we'll flip it, I'll transfer it to a plate, do the rest of it, and that's all done. Now, really, I've told you everything about Scaloppini, although there's another film where it's mentioned. So that's my last bit of chicken cooked, and so in that same pan, not clean it out or anything, I'm now going to add about 2 tablespoons of butter. Obviously we've cooked all the chicken in there with the oil, and we don't want to sort of waste all them flavours that are in there. Okay, and then what I'm going to add to that is that garlic that we chopped earlier and the shallot. Okay, and then I'm just going to cook that for about a minute or 2. Okay, so I haven't bothered to put the chicken on a warm plate or put it in the oven or anything like that, because the chicken will be going back into here. Okay, so that's long enough for that. So now I'll take them mushrooms, and ingolden mushrooms, and we're now just going to saute. You can see why I said I have a deeper pan, because once I start getting everything else in here, this is going to start going everywhere. So we're just going to cook these through for about another 5 minutes. Okay, so then mushrooms have had about 5 minutes. Okay, and what I'm going to add now is about 250 ml, 1 cup, 250 ml of white wine. You may have noticed, by the way, I went on to the red, because I suddenly thought if I'm not careful, there won't be bloody enough white wine left. Oh, there is a little bit left. So we're going to add that in there, and what I'm going to do is we're now going to bring that up to the boil, and we want to reduce it down so there's about 1/3 of it left. So that's going to take a little while. All right. So we've got some stock to add, some cream to add, some pasta to add. One thing I forgot to mention is we're going to be putting some lemon juice into this. So you're going to need the juice of about half a lemon. So you're just going to have to wait a bit now. We're going to be a lot later than I thought. It took a bit longer to cook all that chicken. That was because really, if it was 2 of you, just have 2 chicken breasts. You try and buy 2 chicken breasts in Tesco's. Nigh on impossible. Minimum of 3, usually a lot more. Alright, although it might be the wife's fault. I did say to her, we only want 2 chicken breasts. I knew we might end up with 3, end up with 4. So it did take a little bit longer to cook the chicken off. But other than that, it is a relatively quick dish. So that's reduced down, not quite as far as I said at the minute, but time's getting on. So and now we're going to add about 125 ml of chicken stock, which is half a cup. Okay, so I've got some chicken stock there. I want to chuck that in there. Okay, and we're going to carry on letting that boil. And I'm also going to squeeze into that the juice of half a lemon. Okay, try not to get any pips, although none are coming out. Typical. Got my hand under there, so I've got both hands all mucky, no pips. And then we're just going to bring that back up to the boil. And then we're going to just season it, and then the chicken will be going back, and we're pretty much there then. Oh, I haven't mentioned yet, have I? Oh, by the way, I'm back on the end of the last white one now. I said to you, there's one other film that mentions Bill Scaloppini. So by now, obviously, you'll have found out, you'll know. No? Goonies. In the Goonies, they've been sort of caught, if you like, by the Fratelli family. And Mama Fratelli's sort of like, you know, asking them what they're doing and what they want. So they ask for waters. They're trying to be like, let's just pretend, you know. But mouth, Corey Feldman, can't keep his mouth shut. So whereas the others have just said, we'll have just a glass of water. He says, no, I want Bill Scaloppini. So just take piss, but it don't work very well. So there you go, there's another film mentioned Scaloppini. So anyway, we're just going to let that reduce down a little, boil up and reduce down a little bit. So just want to add a little bit of salt and pepper. And then give that a quick mix in. And then we're going to take our chicken and we're just going to lay that back on top. Okay, cook that for about a minute or so. And then I'm going to flip my chicken. Okay, obviously to make sure it's all fully and nicely warmed up. This is why you need a big pan if you're going to have this amount of bloody chicken. Okay, so like I say, I'm going to cook this for a couple of minutes, and then what I'll do is, he says, managing just about to squeeze it all in there, even though there's a little bit of overlapping. And then what we'll do is I'm just going to flip the chicken over, okay, and cook it for another couple of minutes on the other side. So I'll flip my chicken, okay, and now what we're going to add is about 75 to 80 mils of double cream, okay, so which is about 1/3 of a cup. So we're going to just add that, and then I'm just going to let that mix in a little bit, and what we'll do is after about a minute or two we'll turn the old chicken over, and I'll get myself a spoon and we'll spoon it over the top, make sure all the chicken is nicely coated, okay, and then apart from the parsley we'll be ready to serve up. All I'm going to do is I'll take that chopped parsley and I'm just going to sprinkle that over the top, and I'm just going to give it a quick sort of flip and turn, if you like. I'll turn the heat down, it's still on, okay, but we're just going to get that all over, and then we're ready to serve. And like I said, you could serve this with rice, you could serve it with potato, but what I'm going to do, just a little taster for you, because I know you'd like to see me taste it, just to make you feel like you want it. There's a little bit, okay, I've got some mushroom, I've got a bit of parsley, I've got a bit of sauce, I've got a bit of chicken. Got that hint of lemon. The chicken's nice and tender. It's not tough or anything like that. Only because I beat the crap out of it, didn't I? But perfecto. Even though that was only half a lemon in there, just the right amount of tang. So there you go, chicken scaloppini from Italy.